Hi. You may be wondering why I'm standing in this wood, staring off into space. Well, I may be just a wee bit, and over my head. Okay, so, how did I get here? Well, I got an offer I couldn't resist. Met some lumberjack fella in a bar in Silver Springs. Good guy, down in his luck a bit. Got to talking how he was just back up from a place called the Dark Forest. Said he ran a logging company up there. Made some poor decisions and now it's gone bust. I told him about my recent misadventures. How I was looking for a fresh start. Find somewhere new. Where I can really build something from the ground up. Like the pioneers of old. I had a few drinks by then. He told me of how this logging company stripped almost half of all the trees in the whole forest before the company liquidated. Said how he had so much promise up there. He told me how the land had strong and fertile ground, real remote, off the beaten path. But since they stripped the land of all the trees, the bank doesn't see much value, so they're going for cheap considering. The plots aren't small either. He said he held onto a small spot for himself, but he's moving on now. Heading to a place called Sunshine Forest. Make it big and Pete, he said. Funny guy. He told me he'd sell the land to me for a bargain. I mean, how could I resist? I couldn't afford much. Not in this hard economy. But I had just enough to buy the plot. I got a spot of land in the middle, right on the lake. Granted, not much to look at now, but it has great potential. Not a lot of workable land right now, but it wouldn't be much of a challenge otherwise. The ground is rough, not much usable grass to cut. The trees are all gone here. All I got to work with are tree stumps. It's time I get my hands dirty for me this time. And I even snagged myself some cheap logging equipment too. An old chainsaw and a transport truck. Or maybe cart? The Antonio Carrero Tiger Car 3200 GST. Now, this beauty has a small but decent flatbed, one seat, and it's red. Oh yeah, it's not even that old. She's sturdy, but slow. Top speed of 20 miles an hour, and that drops dramatically when going uphill. But hey, I'm not in any rush. Plus it was free, and I need all the help I can get. Well, this is it. Yeah, he wasn't lying. It's definitely been cleared. Okay, so, there's work to be done. I have no money, just ideas and a naive amount of enthusiasm. Sure, the land is not what I expected, but it's a start. This is my chance to really make a difference here. Turn this barren landscape into something special. This place is great. Not too many neighbors. Just a couple of fields on this side of the valley owned by some farmers on the other side. So they might have some work for me when money gets tight. It's not completely empty. The sawmill for the logging company was bought over and is still there. There's a market near the lake. Some guy runs a carpenter's down the road and there's an animal trader in the south. Worth checking out down the line. It's going to be hard work. Slow work. But I'm not in a rush. I like to take my time. I'm going to start small, and piece by piece, this will be my farm. My new beginnings starts here. So, let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Dark Forest. I am the TheCouchFarmer. And in this episode 1 of my new Farming Simulator 25 survival series, I will be attempting to reclaim the land from a deforested and partly barren landscape into a hopefully successful and thriving farmstead. The map we're using in this series is called The Dark Forest, The Final Chapter. I'm currently playing on console, so every mod I use during this Let's Play can be found on all platforms. As far as I'm aware, there are no console exclusive mods. Could be wrong. It's taken me some time to get this map ready for this Let's Play. You'll find when you come to the map, this whole area is covered in trees, so I've been doing a whole bunch of felling just to set the stage. There's still a half a map of forest here, but the idea is to reclaim all the barren land first, before moving on to the wooded plots. I love the idea of coming into a map that's been completely ruined, and your task is to rebuild it into a working farm. We're starting with this very little at the beginning, and I like the idea of a deforested land and how to make it into something again. How to bring life back into it. So I hope you can come along for the ride. So, what are the rules for these episodes? I want to stick to as close to realism as possible, though I'm not against bending the rules a little here or there. Everything I do must be spent with in-game money, so that's everything I've earned playing the game. I also want to use equipment that isn't as obvious, so I'm not going to go straight to the largest trailer or anything. Everything I do must feel real. I can borrow equipment when doing contracts. I'm not against renting equipment for myself, but it can only be for single-use, large-scale stuff that I couldn't do with other equipment, like a harvester. And the rule is, if I can afford it, I will have to buy it. Finally, we're starting with 0 cash, and the economy is set to hard. I'll also be leaving crop destruction on, and the weather will be in effect, so full disclosure, if you see any time during these let plays that you can tell that I have clearly driven over a field, it's probably because I've fallen asleep while playing the game. I do that quite often. This is my first time making a Let's Play for Farming Simulator, so I thought I'd join in all the fun. So, if you're of the 5 people to ever see this, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. Alright, so we have a decent sized plot, but most of it is water. And the land we do have is riddled with tree stumps, which will be our primary source of income for now. There's some meadow grass around the border, but not a lot, so we have something to start. We'll need to set up a tent maybe for now, until I can afford somewhere more comfortable, and before winter sets in. My plan for this plot, for now, is to get as much money from it as possible. We'll have to clear the trees, grind out the stumps, and clear the brush. Then I can decide if it's worth laying down proper field grass, or scattering some seed before the season changes and hoping some meadow grass grows in before the snow. Well, $153 for 2 stumps. Not bad so far. You notice that one may have went missing, and that's because I've reached the maximum loose item count in the game, just because all the trees have fell down and stuff like that. So you'll notice that I'll gradually build up the amount of logs that I load, but I'll be starting with smaller loads at the beginning, and that's simply because they kept disappearing whenever I chopped them down or made them smaller. You'll also find that I have a tendency in this game to, there you go, drive into trees. That's because I'm not paying attention. Alright, well, don't worry. I don't actually like the sound of my voice that much, so I'm not going to talk through the entire playlist. I will chime in now and then to explain what I'm doing, but until then, please, enjoy the sultry sounds of 80s synthwave by White Bat Audio. You can find them on YouTube. They're really good. Okay, now let's find a place to sleep for the night, huh? So I can't afford much, but what I can afford is a basic tent. So I'm just going to put one down in the corner somewhere here, out of the way of the field. And maybe I can stay in that for a while it's still not too cold, but I will have to upgrade before winter, or I'll die of exposure. Well, in-game die of exposure. Alright, I think here will do. And we're here. Great. Well, This is my humble abode for a while. Yep, doesn't smell weird. Moving on. Okay. And we have... Oh, 1040. Nice. Let's have a quick check. I want to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that the carpentry offers more money than the sawmill at this point in time. There we go. Yep, it does. And they're pretty much the same amount anyway. This one is worth going to the carpentry, even if it was less, because it's closer to where I am at the moment. When I get to the other side of the lake, which is still part of the plot of land, it might be better to go to the sawmill, just to save time. Alright, well, let's rinse and repeat. Make some money. Clear this land. Okay, made over just 5.5 grand so far. I think the plan is to find a small, strong enough tractor with a front loader so I can start loading in bigger and better logs instead of cutting them up into such small places and taking so many trips. Yeah, but we got some money to make, so let's keep at it. Okay, well, I think we collected all the wood that we could do from this little peninsula. Not bad. We made a fair amount of money. We're almost close to getting a tractor with a front loader. Just need a little bit more, but we still have all this part in the southern part of the plot of land that we have, the other side of the lake. Still some good amount of wood there. And a couple of full trees that they forgot to fell, so we're making progress. This is going well. Okay, we're sitting at 25.5 grand, so it's time to get our tractor with a front loader. This is the cheapest one I could find that's strong enough. A little quickie front loader. Make it green, obviously. Match the tractor. And John Deere yellow, of course. Alright, and then I got a grabber in the front, and we're good to go. Now we should be making a little bit more money, because we can load in a bit bigger logs onto our tiny little red vehicle. But progress is progress. Let's keep at it. Okay, right. Let's find a trailer that we can use because I need a little bit more space and I'd load a little bit more logs. Now this is the only one I could find that could really fit the truck that we've got. It's so low down. It's a nice little log trailer. Not too big, not too shabby, not too heavy. Because I'm pretty sure this little thing would be going like 5 miles an hour if it was pulling a regular trailer. So, this is the best I can do. But it fits it quite well. I quite like it. It's kind of pretty. Pretty. Not pretty, but, well. It's late at night and I'm tired. Alright, I think we'll leave it there for now. We've done a lot of felling, but this place still has a lot more work to be done. Thank you for watching. Next episode we'll see about clearing the brush, maybe even laying some grass in. Be it field grass or meadow, we'll have to see about that for sure. By the time you see this, I would have pre-recorded a couple of episodes, so hopefully I'm aiming for getting in a video every week or two. If you're watching this, I still appreciate you staying to the end. Hopefully, I will get better at editing and talking. No promises. Full disclosure, I'm a father and a husband. I have responsibilities I gotta do. I only get to relax at night every other day and play video games, and that's if I'm lucky enough to not fall asleep on the couch. Have you ever fallen asleep while playing Farming Simulator? I've done it a few times, and yeah. I managed to drive almost to the other side of the map without hitting anything. Thought I was cultivating a field, and the next thing I know I'm in town. Well, alright, well let's wrap this up. Until next time, I've been the Couch Farmer. You have a good one.